Good morning, everyone. It's June 20th, 2024. Yay, we finally made it to summer. But I'm hoping everyone is in good shape and is safe during this prolonged heat wave that we're in right now. And I'm still sweating it out. Of course, I don't have the luxury right now of having an air conditioner. But I have lots of fans, and the dog and I are underneath the fans. And of course, in this hot weather, sleeping at night can be rather difficult, but I'm very lucky to have a place to live, and I have the luxury and at least the pleasure of being safe and being under fans and not like the homeless. And this what has me somewhat worried today, because I know we have the city putting in cooling centers for everyone to go to, or the mall, which I'm very fortunate. I've only got about a 10-minute walk to the nearest mall if I need to get into air conditioning, which is great. I'm very lucky to be having some neighbors that check on me as well, being a senior, to make sure that I'm all right. And of course, as the meteorologists have said, this is these prolonged heat waves with the global warming are going to be getting worse and worse. So I just wanted to speak up and say something on that today, as well as thankfully last week we found out the city had just started it last year, that during the summer they have a temporary water fountain that they can hook up to a fire hydrant, which they can have one right in front of one of the shelters down here, so the homeless can get some access to water, which is really good. So that's very fortunate, and they've got it up and running again this year for the homeless, or anyone who is unable to get any water can get water from the fire hydrant. So that is a good thing that's being done today. But with global warming and things, I'm thinking of all the things and what my childhood was like prior to having air conditioners even. And so when it comes to that, I keep thinking, well, what did my mother do, or how did we survive without air conditioners? And I remember it as a small child. And it really came about, I remember, when a number of years back, when the whole eastern seaboard between the United States and Canada blacked out because there was a power outage, and it left us all in the dark for several days, and it was during a heat wave as well. So it brought back the things that I used to do, and knowing that in case a filtration plant, for example, I remember being a child and the filtration plant got knocked out. So what everyone did in the neighborhood was they grabbed jars and bottles and whatever they had. They got the tap water as quickly as possible, filled them up, and a neighbor of ours had a cold storage in her home. So she collected the bottles for all of us. We just put our names on it, which was really good because we didn't have to worry about boiling water at that point. And we also had babies, and they had to have their formula. So it helped us through that few days till they got the filtration plant back up and running again. And the babies had their formula in that because we had water. We had some water just to wash ourselves down with a washcloth. We had some drinking water. It was a good thing because we had water and what we did back then. And then heat waves, I remember at that time we could get these great big blocks of ice, chunks, just big blocks of ice, and not just in bags and little chunks like we can get them today, but these are big blocks, and where they had the big tongs that just lifted up these blocks and you placed them places. And my mother had several buckets that she was able to put the ice in throughout the house. She had everything closed down, which was really good, and the curtains were closed like they recommend today, of course. And the other thing we did was we would fill up the bathtub full of water, for an example. We had my little miniature poodle that I grew up with. He'd get hot very quickly, even though we shaved him down for the summer. But it was really good because having the bathtub, it was great for him as well. That was because if he got hot, he'd just jump in and out of the bathtub to get cooled off, and my mom would just lay lots of towels on the floor for him, so he was able to get it. And I know during that power outage down the eastern coast, people were worried about their dogs, so some people were very happy that I suggested the bathtub. And the bathtub also, by filling up the bathtub, it's one way of keeping things cool too, because as the water evaporates, it cools the air in your house, as long as you've got your house tightly tightened up so that it's all contained in one unit away from the heat, where you've got your drapes and everything drawn. So that also helps to cool a house down. And so there's some ways in how we had to live back in those days. So it just brings back those memories. And then of course drinking water. You know, it was, like I said, they have a fountain, which is great. Sometimes the restaurants will give people fountains. The other thing is that you have to be careful with your dogs. They want to drink too. So what is nice is if I have to take the dog out at all in the market area here, a lot of the shopkeepers, for example, have bowls of water out for the dogs. And I think my dog knows where every watering hole is along the way. So despite the fact that I'm carrying water on her, she can get excess water that way as well. So it's really about how do we look after each other. What do we do in the old days? What do we do now? Fortunately, it's only a 10-minute walk, and I can get into the air conditioning at the mall, which is really great if I need the air conditioning at all. And then, of course, we have the libraries open. We have all kinds of cooling centers around the city for people. But not all the homeless want to go into these places. So what do they do for water? So it got me thinking back about my childhood and thinking about what we do in winter. And, of course, in winter, we're always told to put an extra blanket in our car to make sure that we have that warm, and a shovel in case we get stuck with the car and we have to dig ourselves out, and we have some sand in there to get our tires some traction as well to get out if we get stuck. So we seem to have more for the winter, but it seems like we kind of forget about the summer. And so I was thinking of another way of helping the homeless, and this was with bottled water. You know, I know that the outreach teams here are very good. They carry bottled water in the vans with them, and they try and hand out bottles of water. But there's so many people that say, well, how do we help the homeless? And I was thinking, well, why can't we do that? We have our cars. A lot of people have cars. We have the panhandlers, and they're still out. The panhandlers at the street corners and places, they're still looking for change, anything that they can get. And I have a friend, I think I mentioned it in one of my previous videos, where instead of handing out money, she gets little chip bags and hands them out at the corner. And I'm thinking, why can we not take bottled water? We can get a little cooler. It doesn't have to be a big cooler. You know, it can maybe carry a dozen bottles in it. We can keep it cool, have it in the car beside us, and people are out panhandling and that, and they're just sweating away. We could easily hand a bottle of water out to them as well. So that would be one way in which we could help. So with the global warming, I think we really need to rethink our ways of how to do things now. And it really makes me think, and I think people at my age and a little bit older probably can remember what their parents did or what they had to do when we didn't have air conditioners. Because with the storms that we're getting, that's knocking our power out, with the forest fires, everything that's coming at us, we really need to rethink the way we do things. And this is a small gesture, just a bottle of water, which is a basic necessity. And when you think of them taking overdoses, and then heat, exhaustion that they get, this is not a good combination either. But it's like would be like carrying a Naloxone kit with you, just a bottle of water. It could save a life. So I'm just putting that out there today, and I just wanted people to think about what they can do to help the homeless at this time as well. And like I said, I'm not against the homeless. It's more because of what's happening that we haven't got enough people to help them with, and the drug dealers are taking definite advantage of these poor people, and the fact that there is not enough people to help these people. So I just put it out here for today. So everyone, take care, be safe, definitely make sure you're well hydrated in these heat waves, and we shall talk again soon, and have a nice day.